Welcome to the Random Horror Show. I am your horror hostess, Keisha Lacey, and I have brought you 4 amazing authors with 4 bone-chilling excerpts from their own novels here at the Random Horror Show. As I have paired up with the unholy union from Christine Germain, Ashon Ruffins, Lashane Arnett, and David Harrison as they spook you, fright you, chill you to the bones as you hear our wonderful authors read favorite passages out of their own books. And now, further ado, we have Ashon Ruffins with Descent of a Broken Man.
Hello to all my horror and thriller lovers out there. I would like to thank the Random Horror Show for having me on and featuring my book. My name is Ashon Ruffins. I am the author of Descent of a Broken Man. It's the first in a 3-book series. I'm currently writing number 2 right now. It should be finished by this year and hopefully released by the spring of next year, 2023. The name of the series is called Uncovered Darkness, and the reason it's called that is because throughout the series, the veil is pulled back on their reality, showing them that there's a lot of other things out there that they weren't aware of. My type of writing, I dig into the human experience, the human psyche, from our perspective. And when I say our, I mean African American perspective, and showing some of the things that we go through in everyday life and how we would deal with it or how we could deal with it. And I do it in a horror setting. This book, I would say it has 2 main characters. I would say 1A would be James Corbin, and 1B would be Nola Mayor. James is an interesting character. He has a lot going on in his life, and he has a particular affliction. I won't spoil anything. I would just say James already suffers, and now the unfortunate events of his everyday life has begun to boil over. For James, there will be no solace, no comfort. Within some people, there is something off, something dormant. And sometimes it's a terror that if found, it'll leave a path of pain in its wake. So right now, I decided to read from chapter 17. It's a particular scene that I enjoyed. I enjoyed writing. I enjoyed reading it. It kind of shows you where James is in his head. Some things have happened, and he's accepting it and enjoying it. So you're about to see a dynamic between him and his wife, and he's at a particular craft brewery that he enjoys going to decompress. And we'll pick up right in the middle of the chapter. This excerpt picks up maybe about a third of the way. My heart sank at Mayor's rejection, and I wondered, how could I have been so wrong? I scanned the room with humiliation only to see Jessica staring at me with pity. After I hung up the phone without another word, she slid a glass of my favorite brew in front of me. I nodded with appreciation and glanced around at everyone smiling and laughing with friends and partners. Mayor turning me down had been my first loss since the blessings of Ahriman. until the familiar sight of a woman at the other end of the bar caused me to pause. Her shoulder-length hair, as black as the night, swayed around her face as her obnoxious cackle pierced the room. Her dark eyes were filled with joy, and her hand touched the accompanying man beside her. The sight of her caused me to forget about Mayor's unfortunate rejection. "Candace!" I shouted across the room. I got up to walk toward her. Candace looked up from the bar, and her laughter stopped abruptly when she noticed me. "Well, hello, Candace. How have you been?" I asked, glaring into her eyes, refusing to shy away from the immediate tension between us. "I've been fine, James," she answered, furrowing her brow with confusion. Candace folded her arms in defense, but her eyes canvassed me from head to toe, as if she tried to figure out what had changed about me. "I see you've upgraded your look. I didn't know dress for less sold those type of clothes," Candace hissed when she saw my new style. "I'm sure you know City Councilman Philip Lester." "Ah, yes, I'm familiar with the name. It's a pleasure to meet you, Councilman. I've heard that one day soon you'll be the mayor of this great city, and possibly even governor," I said, shaking the councilman's hand. "Governor? I'm not sure about that. I'm still a black man in the state of Louisiana. The state has never had an African-American governor. But I guess you never know," Philip mused. "I've heard a lot about you, James. You're a high school history teacher, is that right?" "Actually, no. I'm a professor at the University Uptown. I'm also a consultant for the NOPD and the FBI. I've had 2 papers published this month alone, and I'm currently working on my first book." "Philip," I said, bragged with a smug smile. Candace's open mouth filled me with satisfaction, and Philip dipped his brow as if I had just contradicted the information he had about me. "Well, James, I see you've turned things around for yourself," Candace stated with the same tone of contempt. "It's nice to see you've accomplished something with your worthless life. Let me guess, no woman in your life, right?" "Well, no, but Candace scoffed. Typical. Same self-absorbed James. "You won't make it far, and everything you've earned will fall apart. Just like you. You aren't built for success. Someone will take it from you. You're too soft. Slightly capable, but soft. This man, James, he isn't soft. He makes things happen without being miserable all the damn time, for no reason." Candace smiled with bitterness after her tirade, and Philip laughed in the background, turning his head to order another craft beer. I continued to stare at Candace in the eyes with an uncomfortable grin, and she glowered back, brimming with pride and certain that she still had the ability to hurt me. "Apparently you two are made for each other. It's been nice seeing you again, Candace. I hope you and the councilman get everything you deserve," I said calmly. A subtle glow of bright yellow resonated in my eyes. Candace tilted her head, unsure of what she had noticed in my eyes, and her mouth hung ajar. I strolled to the other end of the bar and ordered another one of my favorite craft beers. Jessica resumed her flirtatious routine with me again. I continued to watch Candace and the councilman from afar, but the sight of her happiness did not sit right with me. As dusk set in, my mind drifted to thoughts of anger and blood. The taste of the beer became repugnant, and the sound of laughter and joyous conversation filled me with irritation. I no longer felt the comfort of the air conditioning, and the smell of Candace's flesh taunted me. Even on the other end of the bar, its sweet stench forced me outside. I returned to my parked car and observed the patrons who came out one by one, all at different levels of boisterous intoxication. Candace and Philip exited the brewery after their happy hour indulgence and stopped to passionately kiss each other at the front entrance, She wrapped her arms around his back, and he grabbed her ass with his large hands. My blood boiled at their affection, and heat rose from my skin. Sweat saturated my body, and my transformation began. Candace and Philip stumbled toward her car and slumped into their seats. "Let's go home, big boy, so I can take advantage of you," I heard Candace yell with my heightened hearing. I followed them from a distance and listened to her unconfined laughter from the car. The sight of another man intimately engaging with my wife made me want to ensure that he never put his hands on her again. As I continued to follow, the recollection of Candace berating and abandoning me enraged me, inducing the final stages of my transformation. The chilling thought of spilling blood filled me with the burning desire, and as triangular teeth extended over my protruding jaw, everything went black. I stood over my clawed feet, clothes shredded from the violence of the change. I let out a ferocious roar as I chased Candace's car, leaping from rooftop to rooftop, as I listened to them talk and track the scent of their sweat-soaked flesh. The smell of the alcohol permeating from Philip's skin, mixed with the scent of Candace's perfume, tempted me as I tracked Candace's car through the 17th Ward neighborhood. "What? Why are you taking us this way, babe? I hate the 17th. It's getting darker," Philip slurred. "There is always a street party going on around here. I'm feeling it right now, and I want to shake my ass," Candace said as the car accelerated. "Well, if we're going this way, let me get my shit ready." "Is that really necessary? You'd think you were compensated for something, carrying that big-ass thing around." Then again, I love a man being a man. The sound of a moan was evident in the car, and my rage pushed me faster across the roof of houses to keep pace. My claws sliced through the shingles, and a trail of debris was left behind. Further down the road, Candace slowed the car, near what looked like an impromptu block party. The repetitive beat of the bounce music blared from the towering speakers as dozens of people danced in the street. The thick crowd had swallowed the road and made it their personal dance floor. Candace stopped in the middle of the street. As I watched her hop out to dance, a smile fell upon Philip's face as he eyed her hips, swaying to the rhythm. He tucked the gun into his waistband and exited the car. The cheerful party, the music, and the dancing attracted dozens of people as I peered on and watched and enjoyed the atmosphere. I couldn't wait any longer. The sight of Candace's smile, the joy she had, I wanted it to end in the most torturous way possible. As the gathering continued, I jumped from the rooftop of a nearby home, my massive arms extended and knees folded into my chest. The power allowed me to be in complete control and perfectly designed to hunt. The deafening thump on Philip's car as I landed shattered the windows and sent shards of glass into the crowd. The alarm blared, and everyone at the party turned their head and shuddered their attention to the vehicle. "What the fuck is that?" Candace screamed. Her eyes widened. I stood my full beastly figure on display as everybody screamed into the night air and fled. Philip and Candace covered their heads with fear as they were paralyzed with terror. I skulked down from the front of the car, my claws ripped through the fiberglass hood as if it were paper. The front end of the Mercedes crumpled under the weight, only for the front end to snap back up violently, causing the alarm to die. I towered before Candace, bare teeth, and growled with pleasure as she cowered. She looked into my yellow eyes as I slowly moved closer. The rancid breath hit her face. Candace belted out a screech that echoed in the night and trembled with complete terror. A few intrigued witnesses cowered in disbelief at the sight of my bloodthirsty presence. Although blood trickled from the many cuts on Philip's face, caused by the flying shards of glass, he found the courage to grab his gun from his waist and fired a shot at the monstrous figure before him. A bullet pierced my right shoulder, which only caused me to laugh at his pathetic attempt. Philip fired his weapon several more times, hitting me in the chest, as I launched toward him and clutched his throat. My claws squeezed his neck and lifted him off the ground. The gun fell from his grasp and slid across the pavement. I growled again with pleasure as his legs struggled to find the ground. I glared at Candace as the discharged rounds fell from my skin. The thunderous roar reverberated throughout Candace's body as I tore out the flesh from the councilman's throat. Philip's body hit the concrete and blood poured from the gaping hole in his neck. His mouth twitched as he gasped for air like a fish out of water. His eyes were wide and packed with fear as he fixed them on Candace. But after a few moments, his body went still. Candace screamed as tears fell from her eyes, and I slowly prowled toward her. "Too soft," I growled, staring at Candace. I wrapped my large claw around her jaw and sliced her cheek with one of my sharp nails. Candace fell to her knees, terrified and bawling uncontrollably. "Typical," I said. I turned and fled the scene. In the distance, the sound of the sirens drew closer, while everyone stood around and stared in terror and disbelief, while I took pleasure and watched from a nearby rooftop. Candace lay on the pavement, exhausted with fear. "Philip, no. Oh God, please, no." Tears flowed from her eyes, and blood poured from her cheek. Okay, and that is the end of the expert and the end of chapter 17. As you can see, there's some interesting aspect and some things going on with James that, to put it mildly, are troublesome. So I think that's it. I hope you guys enjoyed. Again, my name is Ashon Ruffins, and I really enjoyed doing this. I'm thankful for the Random Horror Show for having me on, and I hope she's enjoying the reading as well, and I hope you guys consider it. So, thank you.